the YouTube world as well.
I am.
So could you introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Angie, trail name Lily. On YouTube, I'm the Wandering Lily.
Gotcha, gotcha. So you are, well, I'll give some context. We're right here at mile 69 at a hostel around the bend. Where are you at on trail right now? What's going on?
So I'm here. We came off trail at Amacola and took a zero, actually 2 zeros here, because
Nice.
I got sick on trail. And so we came in here so I could recover and get a little better, and we head back out tomorrow. So
Gotcha, gotcha. So where are you? And we can dive a lot into that. What's happened the past couple days with you? It's been crazy.
yeah.
But let's go back all the way to the beginning. Not the
Okay.
beginning of the trail, but where where did you grow up? Like where were you born? Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Southern Illinois, very rural community, and pretty much had not left my county, lived there my whole life until I got married. And then my husband joined the military, and we moved off to Chicago, and that was my first major city experience.
So you were not hiking alone.
No, my husband and I are hiking together. We have been married for 32 years, and we actually started our hike on the anniversary of our first date, which was Valentine's Day. So 33 years ago, Valentine's Day was our first date. We retired this year, so this was a big, like, start of a new life, new adventure for us. Go hike the Appalachian Trail.
Oh my gosh! Congratulations!
Thank you.
What a wonderful thing. So you're out here with your husband. Um, what's kind of that dynamic been? I mean, have you guys done any hikes prior with each other? Have you done anything like this
We
before?
have nothing like this. We've hiked pretty much our whole life, both of us, just like car backpacking is brand new to us as far as that goes. We pull up to Shenandoah's, walk in a couple miles, set up our tent, and then hike for a few days different directions, or Smokies, or wherever, kind of car camping. About 6 years ago, we met a friend out here on the trail and hiked a little bit with him during his through hike and had a great time. And I'd always said that this was something I wanted to do, but that hooked me. And at that point on, we set our date. We knew retirement was 2023, and we've been gathering gear and planning. I'd say 3 to 4 times a year. We come out for anywhere from 2 weeks to a month and backpack little sections to kind of dial in our gear and figure out our bodies and kind of get what's to be expected of the trail a little bit.
Yeah. Well, speaking of expectations, what maybe were some of your expectations for this trip? Any particular anything you were particularly looking for or expecting?
Well, I mean, just to reconnect with each other over the last 2 years with COVID. Well, I guess that's been 3 years now since COVID started. I became a travel nurse, and so I was traveling all over, and he was working double at work. And we talked every day on the phone, and he'd come out and visit me, and I'd be home for a little bit at a time, but still, we were apart a lot. And so come back out here, reconnect, kind of restart our next adventure in life. But as far as trail expectations, we came out here pretty open-minded. We both know we're not in athletes or in great shape. I'm 48, he's 50. We're not young. We're not going to do 30-mile days starting off like some of these young ones. So we just came out like, let's enjoy ourselves. Let's not hurt ourselves. Let's have a good time. Do what our body says to do.
What were some of the things that you think helped you to prepare for this?
I watched a lot of YouTube videos, which I think prepared me in the sense of knowing everybody has their own way. Everybody has their own gear that's perfect for them or not, and their own shoes and their own mileage and their own way of camping. Some people like to stay in shelters or not. So I think that kind of prepared me in the aspect of just because it worked for somebody else, it might not work for me, or just because it works for me, it might not work for them. So I guess it prepared me by knowing, just figure out myself what works for me.
Yeah, gotcha. So there any mountains? There any hills up there? And what'd you say? Where
We live in southern Indiana now. We
Southern
moved there
Indiana.
4 years ago over to southern Indiana, and no mountains. We do have slight hills, but nothing like here.
I understand. I'm originally from South Florida, so coming up here is quite the shock to the body and to mind. But no, you seem to be keeping a really good spirit. You seem to be in, your spirits are high right now. I mean, despite some of the circumstances that you've had so far. Do you want to talk a little bit about what's been going on with you the past few days while you've been here?
Sure. It was pretty demoralizing yesterday. I woke up around 2 in the morning, sick to my stomach, and for no apparent reason. I'm a little OCD about washing my hands all the time, mostly due to my profession, so I don't really necessarily feel like it was cleanliness. I've been eating fairly healthy, went to town, got a salad. I don't know, I woke up sick, and we had a little group of people we're hiking with, and we were all supposed to head out. We had our shuttle planned to head back to trail, and I was ready. I got up, got dressed, and headed down there, and I just couldn't do it. And so I was very disappointed in myself. My husband reminded me I was crying. I broke down because, I mean, it was very emotional. I felt like a disappointment to everybody, not just myself, but like we're ready to go. And it was just sad to not be able to keep going, that my body wouldn't let me, and I couldn't even keep fluid down, so it wasn't realistic to go out to the trail in those type of conditions. I mean, it took about 30 hours before I was even to keep down Pedialyte, so it would not have been realistic to head out yesterday. But all day yesterday I was pretty sad and just like, oh. And then I realized, there's going to be days like that, and the trail's still here. Ironically enough, most of those people hiked a few miles up and ended up back here again last night at the same hostel. So, and that's fine. People are going to come and go, and we're going to meet new people to hike with. And, my husband had a great spirit about it. He wasn't upset or anything. He just kept saying, get better, and went to town and got me some soup. So, but yeah, it was pretty demoralizing yesterday to kind of have a plan in your mind of, okay, we're shuttling to this spot, and then not getting to.
Yeah. So it's what it seems like is you guys have found an acceptance to some of the things out here that can happen to you, and getting sick is definitely one of those things. How do you feel like your relationship has been between acceptance and fear, let's just say? Because I feel like fear and anxiety is a very pervasive issue, especially in the beginning, because everything's new. Everything that's ahead of you haven't seen before.
Right.
And so you don't know what's coming, but you also don't know how you're going to respond to it. Or maybe you do. Maybe you have it dead set in your mind you're going to do this, or that you're going to fight through to the end, that you're going to see everything through. But how do you feel like your relationship between fear and acceptance has been so far?
Fear more than anything of disappointing others. Besides myself, because we've told everybody, all our friends and family, and they're waiting daily for videos. And when I didn't post yesterday, I had a ton of messages going, what's going on? We didn't hear from you yesterday. We didn't see your daily photos. Or I'll message my kids, how far we've made it, and I hadn't messaged them. I just let them know we were staying here for the night, so they knew we were safe. But yeah, I mean, fear of disappointing them, like I said, in myself, like I was very disappointed in myself for it, but really there's nothing I could do about it. So I just kind of had to accept that at a certain point and do what I could to get better today and be strong for tomorrow and continue on. Anxiety-wise, I really don't have a lot of problems with anxiety day to day. I feel very blessed for that. But in regards to the trail, I mean, I can say I've come out here for a few weeks, but that's nothing like saying I'm going to be out here for 6 months. Like, to be like, these are the clothes I'm going to wear, and this is the shelter I'm going to use, and the backpack I'm carrying, and did I make the right decisions? There's a lot of decisions in just the most minute little things, the socks, your filter, just so many little decisions, and you're questioning yourself this whole first few weeks on, was this the right decision? Especially when you see other people using other things. You're like, oh, is theirs better than mine? Did I make this right decision? And you're all kind of comparing things and such. And I mean, there's plenty of opportunity to switch gear out, but still, it's still a little bit of anxiety of, did I make the right decision in that? And you hear people that have done sections you haven't done yet talk about how hard they are, or how uphill they are, or how there's no breaks, and so it kind of, I try not to listen to them so much because it puts it in my mind at the beginning of the day that this is going to be a really hard day. And then even if it isn't really hard for me, I've already got it set in my mind that this is really hard, and it's kind of starting off with a negative attitude for the day. So I try really hard not to listen to people talking about how hard this section was.
Yeah.
And I mean, nobody's trying to be mean, they're just trying to be helpful, but it gets it set in your mind, and it just starts off the day with a negative mindset.
I'm sure probably by this point you've heard a lot about the Smokies and
Yes.
just how crazy and wild the Smokies are. There's a lot of that going on, a lot
Yes.
of fear mongering.
Yes. And I feel like I said, we've come out, and I don't want to say done all of the southern sections, but pretty much for the southern quarter of the trail, we asked a lot of people what they found the hardest, and we came out and did those sections. So like we had done Amacola to Neal's Gap. We'd done the areas around Knock, which was another area people said was difficult. Last year we came out and did the Smokies. Ideal weather conditions though. I mean, if you're going to plan to come out for a week, why not plan to come out in perfect weather conditions? So not necessarily the same situation we're going to have through hiking. Just like when we came down to Unicoi, it was sleeting and snowing on us and 20 degrees, and that was definitely not what we saw last time we were here.
Yeah, let's describe what the weather is right now. The daffodils are already bloomed behind us, and it's about 70 degrees and sunny today, which is a blessing. It's
Amazing day. And then I believe last night it was raining and chilly, and 2 nights ago it was snowing, so it's Georgia.
Yeah, so what it sounds like is there's a lot of comparing from whether it's gear or whether it's the amount of miles you do out here. It seems to be a lot of comparison-driven attitudes out here. Do you find that that's a thing?
I definitely see that, and I try not to get pulled into it. It seems to be, especially either with the brand new hikers or the ones that have through hiked before, like that seems to be the two classes that are like, I did this amount of miles today and I plan to do this amount tomorrow, and they're very proud of the fact of not doing zeros, and they've done 30 miles, and it's very much a comparison on, oh, I hit this point, I got to Neal's Gap in 2 days or 1 day or whatever. And it's like, I try not to compare with that because, I'm not 20 and a marathon runner like somebody we met, or somebody else who had just got off their other through hike in December and they're restarting. It's like, that's not me. And if I try to do 30 miles, I would be out there all day and then be in so much pain the next day.
Yeah.
So I try not to get involved in that. We just kind of, I feel like we've done good for the physical fitness level we're in. We've been doing about 10-mile days, and I'm totally okay with that. It's okay. I mean, we had one day that we slack packed with them here. We did 6 miles, and that was instead of doing a zero. We just did that little day. But, we did, I guess at this point, 59.5 miles in 6 days, and then we've taken our 2 zeros here with me 6. So yeah. I'm okay with that.
And that's great. And those are great observations, because I do feel like a lot of people fall victim to that out here and comparing themselves to others. And one thing I was talking with your husband about, he was having a conversation with another gentleman, and I heard them telling stories about kind of who was on trail and what this person on trail was saying about themselves or about someone they knew. And I felt like the other gentleman at least was starting to fall into that boat of being comparison driven. And one thing that I've observed is that there are a lot of tall tales out here too on the trail. There's a certain amount of people that they may not be telling the whole story, or they might just be telling a story to you to kind of bolster themselves. And so that's definitely a thing. That's something I've noticed out here. But I'm glad that you're not letting that affect you, and that at the end of the day, you're hiking your own hike.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just now starting to feel better.
Yes.
And your husband was very supportive, was he?
Yes, very much so. I mean, not that he's not someone to be driven to be upset by it, but you know, I know he was antsy, ready to go yesterday. He was up and dressed and ready to go, and I thought I could push through it in the morning at first and just be like, oh yeah, we'll just keep going. And he was the one who's like, nope, you need to stay in today. We need to rest. And then last night, he's like, if you're still sick in the morning, we should probably go home and figure out what's going on. And he'd already called our son to maybe come pick us up just in case. And I was like, no, I don't want to leave trail yet. But no, he's extremely supportive about it and brought me fluids all day yesterday and was very helpful. So that was nice because, like I said, I already had a huge sense of guilt in myself for, you know, that's the thing with you're hiking with a partner, with your spouse, like we've agreed we're going to stay with each other. If one of them has hiked slower or faster or is sore for the day, or we already agreed ahead of time if one of us gets injured, we're both going to step off till we can go back together. Like, so, you know, we agreed about this. We just didn't expect it the first week.
Yeah.
It was like,
yeah.
I mean, not that you expect it at all, but in 6 months we expect one of us to be ill or injured or something, and just not this first week, like I said.
Yeah.
But he was very understanding about it and very supportive.
Yeah, that's great. He's a good guy.
Yes.
How do you think he's doing out here? Then right now he's not here. He's actually in town, but
yeah, he went to town to get me some bland foods to eat.
Nice.
I'm still in the just starting to eat phase. No, I think he's doing good. I think he really enjoys it out here too. I mean, we've both had very high stress jobs over the last few years, and so this is a huge break in our normal as far as what we love about the trail is it's just your own time. You know, you sleep when you want to sleep, you eat when you want to eat. You're not on anybody's schedule but your own. So
yeah,
that's just a huge break from the normal at home.
Gotcha. What's the just kind of social dynamic been on trail so far?
We have met amazing people. We actually, I feel like, had kind of a unique experience starting off when we went through Springer parking lot. Fresh Ground was there, and he was just like, hey, our intent was we'll probably only hike like, 5 to 7 miles our first day. Like, let's be realistic. We'd ate buffet the night before. It's our first night on trail. Let's just get to that first shelter and kind of rest for the night. And he's like, oh, if you go 9 miles, so only 2 past where we were, I'll be there serving a full meal tonight. And we're like, okay. So we went that little bit further, and then he served breakfast the next morning. So we started off our through hike with Trail Magic, which was amazing and totally unexpected.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty incredible, and we've seen him a couple times since then, so it was pretty amazing. But yeah, we've had a really good first week. I mean, no complaints other than yesterday.
Yeah.
So
That's wonderful. Do you feel like hiking as a couple, married couple, versus maybe hiking alone? Do you feel like that's made your interaction with others any different? Or
I feel like, even in the past, that we tend to get some of the single females that hang around us and do the same mileage as us, especially if they're new to hiking. We've had that. I don't know, maybe it's just like a sense of they've got, like, they don't have to necessarily worry about another male there, but yet it's a little bit of security knowing because some of the, I mean, that's kind of being sexist saying female, but just single people in general coming out sometimes are a little nervous about being on trail alone.
mm-hmm.
And they come out hoping to immediately find a tramily to hike with, and so I think sometimes people have a little bit of reassurance that, and plus with us being a little bit older, I feel like maybe people are a little more comfortable. I don't know, but we seem to innately, within a day of being on trail, having like a little group of people that we're hiking with, which is, I felt really bad about not continuing with them. And I mean, they're totally independent, awesome people. I'm not saying that. It's just,
Yeah.
I do feel like sometimes we tend to, some people that are out here as individual solo new hikers feel a little more comfortable with couples sometimes, I feel like.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I've never hiked alone, so maybe I would have that same experience. I don't know.
Gotcha. Well, so everything coming together here, you're feeling better. You guys are probably gonna head out tomorrow.
That's the plan.
And you're gonna be off. Is there anything that you feel like you've really taken away from this past week's experience? Anything that you've learned yourself and that you could possibly share with others?
I think to allow myself grace, to understand my body could only do so much, and as you mentioned before, comparing. It's really hard, even though you say you're not going to compare yourself with others. Whenever you're stopping for the night and setting up and someone walks through and they're like, oh yeah, I think I'm going to hike that 5 more miles to that next section. And you can't help but in the back of your mind going, oh, should I do that too? Like, it's early, there's plenty of daylight, maybe I should do that too. It's really hard to not listen to what others are doing and to just listen to your own body. It's hard to not be driven by what others are doing, and that's been a big thing this week. Even like we've met a lot of people that are doing 20+ mile days, and it's just hard not to follow them also and stop early in the day.
Yeah.
But and like I said, I was super disappointed in myself yesterday, and this morning I was just like, that's what needed to happen, and we'll go back out strong tomorrow now.
Yeah, exactly. You guys may have not have conquered your bodies right now because you're a week into your hike, but up here at this hostel, it seems like you've conquered some things in your mind, and I think that's just as valuable going forward to get you all the way to Katahdin. And just talking with you here, I think you have a great attitude. I think that you and your husband are great people, and I wish you the best of luck. And I don't think you're going to need it because you guys are going to do just fine out here. So thanks for talking with me. Thanks for your time. I know it's precious out here. So
appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah.